Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I am like slightly out of breath. I've been running around all morning and I was like, oh, okay, I'm finally gonna sit down and do this tier ranking video. And I sat down and I'm like, why am I so out of breath? So I'm gonna sit here for a hot second so that I'm not heavy breathing. We are going to be doing something I'm very excited about. We are gonna be tier ranking. I love tier ranking. I think it is so much fun. And I figured that we would actually specifically do our lazy book club picks because there have been a range. There have been a range of things and a range of feelings about these books. And I originally was gonna do like two separate tier rankings where it was how you guys felt about it and then how I felt about it, but I think I'm just gonna do like an overall thing and then I'll just let you know how I feel compared to the overall stats. So let's look at these categories. So we're gonna go with book club fave. I mean, that's obvious, everybody loved it for the most part. There's always going to be someone who disagrees with the general. So this is just kind of like, in general, this is how everyone felt about it. Next, I'm going to say solid choice. It was a good choice. Generally, people liked it, but it's not going to be like top tier, favorite, iconic. Everyone's going to remember it. Okay, I was trying to move you a little bit closer because the lighting is so bad. Next, we have middle of the road. So this existed. Let's capitalize it. It's gonna drive me nuts if I don't. This existed. Everyone read it. No one had like strong opinions about it. It just kind of was there. You didn't hate it though either. Next we have this was just not it. I'm not going back and capitalizing all of them. Basically, kind of like your 2-star, low 3-star range where it's just you don't like it, but you don't hate it. It doesn't cause you pain to think about this book. And then last, we have straight to jail. I feel like this is always a category that I use, which is people did not like this. No one should be reading this book. It was horrible. But at the same time, most of the time, they do make for interesting discussions in the straight to jail category. So I originally had these in order. I don't actually know if these are in order anymore, but it looks like it potentially reversed the order. So we're going to start with the one that we all just read in November, and that is The Wren and the Holly Library. Personally, for me, this goes straight to jail. However, there were enough people who I feel like I'm the only one who really hated it. Mostly everyone else seemed to just think it was fine or bad, but not horrendous, burn your eyes out kind of thing. So I am going to put this one in this was just not it. I feel like that's appropriate. I feel like that's a good mix of kind of the Ms. and how much I hated it. And again, most of your comments were not favorable towards this one. Next, we have The Gathering, which is what we read for October. For me, I would say a solid choice. I would say this was a solid choice. I feel like generally people had a good time with this one. This one potentially would be a book club favorite for me because it was a 5-star and had a great time with it. But generally people did not like this one as much as I did, but I didn't really see that many negative comments. I just saw like, oh, it was a really good time. So I'm going to say this is a solid choice for everybody. Next one is A Tempest of Tea. For me, this is a straight to jail because I DNF'd it. However, most people also definitely did not feel this badly about it. But I was surprised because I did go back through and go through all the comments. Obviously, some videos have way more comments than other ones. This one had quite a few negative comments. I really didn't see any positive, maybe one or two. So with my combination of straight to jail and you guys not liking it, we'll put it in this was just not it. Next, Middle of the Night. This was a tough one. This is a tough one because it really was middle of the road. Middle of the Night was middle of the road. I would put this in, this was just not it, even though I gave it a 3.5. I think it's more like a 3. I just the more I think about it, the more I dislike this book. A lot of people just thought it was really boring and wasn't super entertaining to read, and it was kind of obvious what was going on. So I think I'm going to put this in, this existed. I feel like, again, generally everybody was just very middle of the road with this one. Next, we have The Raven Boys. I gave this a 3-star. I am going to be attempting Dream of Thieves. Thieves of Dream? Nope. Dream Thieves. I'm going to be attempting Dream Thieves. I was on Sid Bookworm's book club thing on her Patreon. We talked about the book together and they convinced me to read the book. So I will be attempting to read the next one, but for me personally, this just existed. This was a tough one to rank. This is hard because there were so many people who love this book. And a lot of people say like the series gets better before it gets worse. And then there was a lot of people who were very middle of the road. This is a tough one. I think I'm gonna put this one in solid choice because there were some good discussions about it. And I do think it's one of those books that I feel like everyone should read just because it's one of those like you should have read when you were younger kind of classic things that a lot of other things reference. So I'm going to put Raven Boys in solid choice mostly because it's like almost like a necessary read and there were a lot of people who enjoyed it. Next up we have The Familiar. I rated this higher than most people. I would have put this in solid choice, but generally people did not like this book. They really did not enjoy this book. They thought it was very boring. The magic system was not very well explained, which I do agree with that. It's not what you think like what Leigh Bardugo is capable of. She is capable of so much better than this. And so based on all of that, I'm going to put it in This Existed. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. For me, this is a This Existed or This Was Just Not It. I gave it a solid 3 stars. I don't really get the hype. But again, this was one that I feel like you have to read. I am not continuing in this series, but I feel like it's along the same lines of The Raven Boys where you kind of just have to read it, and a lot of people did really enjoy this. So I think I'm going to go with solid choice. The Unmaking of June Farrow was a hit like across the board. There were not that many negative comments at all. People were saying this is like, for me, it's one of my favorites of the year, potentially my favorite book of the year. And we read this back in January. So and a lot of people are saying the same thing, is that they still remember this book. It was such a good book club pick. So I'm putting this in book club favorite. I think this is going to be in the Hall of Fame of our book club. I'm also going to save this ranking, and every year we're going to add to it because I do have last year's books in this one as well, since we didn't do a ranking last year. So next year at the end of the year in December, probably won't do a book again. We'll probably do the series thing again. And we'll do another ranking. Ooh, Immortal Longings. It's funny because I hated Violet's Things. I read Violet's Things. I thought it was a terrible sequel to Immortal Longings, but I loved Immortal Longings. For me, it would go in solid choice, but I don't think anyone else liked it. I think maybe a couple people, but this is gonna go in This Was Just Not It, sadly. For me, solid choice. Everybody else, it was not it. And almost straight to jail. Like, this is a close one that is straight to jail, but because I loved it so much, I'm not gonna put it in straight to jail. But it's close. It's close. Ooh, none of this is true. This one is easily our most watched book club video. A lot of people got a hold of this one. It has like 2,000 something views, and I was like, oh, it is not just our book club watching this one. So I was trying to think of like mainly our book club people who were talking about it, especially like the initial comments coming in. Nobody liked this. Like, I'm getting a lot of comments now that they liked it. There were a couple people that liked it at the beginning, but generally everybody agreed that this was like a 2 or 1 star. It was awful, and the things that it tried to do and say were awful. So I'm gonna put this one in straight to jail. I think the discussions were really, really good. So for me, the discussions were a solid choice, but the actual physical book, reading experience was straight to jail. Next is The Only One Left. I think this one is also going to go in This Existed. It's just another Riley Sager. We're going to be reading the Riley Sager next year too when it comes out, the month after it comes out. So probably, what is it, June or July? This one just existed. This one definitely was better than Middle of the Night, like significantly better. And people generally liked this one more, but it was still very hit or miss with people. Again, still better than Middle of the Night though. One for My Enemy. This is another one. This was a very mixed one. This one also is going to go in This Existed. People were, again, very middle of the road for this one. I feel like her other books are much more, people have much more visceral reactions to. So like Alone with You in the Ether, either you love it, which I gave it a 5-star, or people hate it. Same with the Atlas 6. I absolutely hated that series, but so many people love it. Her other books are just so divisive. And this one, everyone was kind of like, it was fine. it was fine. Like, it did what it did. It was fine. It was very repetitive. It could have cut out like 50, 70 pages of repetitiveness, and there were just like no stakes. And so it did come out to be very mid. So that is going to go in This Existed. The Last Tale of the Flower Bride. I want to put this in book club favorite, but I don't think it is. I think it was an awesome choice. I think the discussions for this book were fantastic. A lot of people really, really enjoyed it. Some people did not, though. Some people, this was not their type of writing style. But it was so good. It was so good. But I don't think I can put it in book club fave. It's like in between book club fave and solid choice. So we're going to default to solid choice. Oh, Faybound. Faybound. You know what? I DNF this one. To me, this is a straight to jail, but generally looking at the comments, people did not like this book. But I don't know if they hated it. Like, none of this is true. I'm again, this one, it feels middle. It feels between straight to jail, and this was just not it. So I think I'm gonna go with This Was Just Not It. A Fate Inked in Blood. We definitely had mixed results with this one. I think generally more people did not like this one because it just wasn't that great. I give it like a 2.5. I am going to attempt the second book because I did like the writing in it. So I think it could get better if it focuses. I feel like this book had a major problem with focusing on the plot, and the romance was very strange. So again, I'm really debating This Existed or This Was Just Not It. I generally think people didn't like this one, at least for my book club. So I'm going to put This Just Wasn't It. This is bad, guys. This is bad. Stuff needs to be higher up. Vampires of El Norte. Again, DNF for me. This would be straight to jail, but generally people seem to enjoy this one. Like, I was surprised. There was mainly positive comments. So I'm actually going to put this one. Oh, do I want solid choice or This Existed? I think because of how much I disliked it and there were still some major problems with this book, we're going to go with This Existed. Threads That Bind. I am putting this in solid choice. I loved this book. I thought it was fantastic. I gave it a 4.5. The sequel sucked. Sequel was so bad. I don't even own a copy of the sequel. I luckily got it on NetGalley, and I never bought a copy of the sequel after I read it, and it was just that bad. But the first book was phenomenal. It was very different, very interesting magic system. Everyone seemed to enjoy their time reading it. I rarely got any negative comments for this one, so we're going to put this one in solid choice. We're down to 3. A House with Good Bones. This one was a divisive one. Some people really, really hated this book. I liked it. I gave it like a 3.5. I thought it was very mid for T. Kingfisher. I thought the humor in it was not as good or not as well written as how she normally writes humor. And pretty much that's what everyone agreed with. It was just very middle of the road. It just needed a little bit of extra something. So we're going to put this one in This Existed. Tress of the Emerald Sea. For me, this was a 3. This was very mid, but generally people seem to enjoy this one a lot. So I think we're going to put this one in solid choice. I think everyone generally had a good time reading this one. And then The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi. This, to me, should have been a book club favorite, but everyone was just very mid about this one as well, which is really sad. I'm so upset about that because that was like such a crazy, like, exciting pick. And I gave it a 3.5, I think, and I will attempt to read the next book as long as it comes out soon. Like, if it takes too long to come out, I'm not going to remember it, and I'm not going to want to continue it. But I think because of everyone's reaction to it and it just kind of was there. It wasn't what everyone was expecting. Everyone kind of wanted more adventure instead of just kind of this cozy-ish fantasy. We're going to stick this one in This Existed. Okay, that is our list. I'm not super happy about it. It makes almost a perfect like bell curve, which is good. I guess that is kind of what's to be expected. So we definitely have the most choices in This Existed, and I think that's about right. I would just move The Familiar up 1. I would move Vampires of El Norte down 2. And yeah, otherwise everything about there is right. Solid choice. I would move The Raven Boys and A Good Girl's Guide to Murder down 1. I would move The Last Tale of the Flower Bride up 1. And then the other 2, yeah, I would keep there. Run in the Holly Library, this was just not it. I would move it down. Tempest of Tea, I would keep there. I think it was just not it. Immortal Longings would be up in solid choice. Feybound would be straight to jail. A Fate Inked in Blood would stay at, this was just not it. So it's a little bit different. It's nothing like super extreme. I feel like the most extreme one is Immortal Longings, which I would move up to solid choice for me specifically. But yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. We have more, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We have 14 books that were fine or higher compared to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that we generally didn't like. So I'll take that. I'll take that. And yeah, that was actually really fun. It was really fun. And it kind of gives me an idea of what we like more. Well, kind of, because like the lower ones were fantasy. It's just a luck of the draw, like, because it's hard. I try to pick in advance so you don't, so all the Goodreads ratings are pretty much 4 or higher is what I'm picking. And then by the time we're actually reading the book, it could still be at 4 or it could be like a 3.5 and you're like, crap, this did not stay where it was supposed to stay. And people are not liking it because more reviews are coming out. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed the books for 2024 and 2023. We are moving into 2025. We have our first 3 books picked. You know what? I think I'm going to put it in this video. I originally wasn't, but it's just 3 books and I don't really want to do a separate video for it. So I feel like it'll work perfectly in this video and I could just do, it's basically just a dual announcement. All right, so for January 2025, this one was so close. It was so close, but The Last Hour Between Worlds did edge out Only a Monster, and I do think that's better for a video because I have already read Only a Monster, so I think it would be more interesting to watch my reaction to something that has never been read before. So our options were The Last Hour Between Worlds, The Ministry of Time, Only a Monster, and Lost in Time. So it was between the 2 that I wanted, and it, like I said, it was time travel stuff because I goofed my original post and put, I think, books of 2024 next year, and one of my subscribers was like, hey, do a time travel because you messed up the year. And I was like, okay, that's a good idea. I didn't realize how hard it would be to find a time travel book. So that ends up working out well that The Last Hour Between Worlds won. So we will be reading in January 2025, The Last Hour Between Worlds. So I am pretty excited about that. Then we have February 2025. I'm a little surprised about this one. Hands down, Phantasma won, which I'm very excited about. I actually wanted to read it months ago when I got it, but I am waiting. I am shocked that Deep End by Ali Hazelwood did not do better, but I know this is not a romance channel, but I'm still a little surprised because it's Ali Hazelwood. Then the other option was The Last One by Rachel Housel Hall. I think everyone, this is the lowest. It was easily the lowest. I feel like everyone's catching on to the whole pretty books do not equal good book trend. I feel like we're going to start, people are going to be buying pretty books, but I do think people are being a little more selective about what they're buying because of the awful books that have been released lately with pretty covers. And then the one that was closest, because Phantasma had 47% of the vote, Sorcery and Small Magics, which is kind of what I wanted to win. That way I could read Phantasma earlier. But Sorcery and Small Magics had 29%, and that was pretty close. But in February 2025, we will be reading Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. And then for our final pick so far, March 2025, I was upset because the 2 that I wanted were the 2 lowest. I'm so upset about it. But the one that won, I think it's going to be a very interesting discussion because some people love him and some people hate him. So our winner is a Grady Hendrix book, but the other options, talk about the other options really fast. The lowest was A Sea of Unspoken Things by Adrienne Young. I'm surprised that didn't win because we read The Unmaking of June Farrow in January 2024. So I thought that would actually get more votes based on how well that book club pick did, but it did not. It only got 17% of the vote. Then 23% of the vote was Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan, which again, very sad about. That was my other main choice because I love Daughter of the Moon Goddess, so I really wanted to read this one. And then at 24% was Water Moon by Samantha Soto Yambao. Again, another one I'm kind of sad about, but it is a Lumicrates book for January, I think. So I'm kind of sad because it would have been one less Illumicrate book that I had to read for my series that I'm starting. And the winner for March 2025 and the book that we will be reading is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. That's going to be fun. That is going to be so much fun. People are going to hate it. People are going to love it. I am so excited to see the discourse surrounding this book. So those are our 3 book club picks. I am incredibly excited. I feel like that is 3 really good choices. If I'm looking at them, I feel like everyone is going to have a good time with Phantasma. I feel like that is definitely like a solid choice, potentially a book club favorite. I think Last Hour Between Worlds is gonna have some mixed reviews just because it is like more of a sci-fi pick. And then I think, like I said, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls is gonna be a mess. It's gonna be, people are gonna love it, they're gonna hit, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be absolutely fantastic. So that is everything that I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the tier ranking. I hope you guys enjoyed the little surprise of, it was a surprise for me, it won't be a surprise for you, of letting you guys know what we're reading at the beginning of the year. And yeah, I had such a fun time. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future content, especially if you want to do book club things. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, and definitely leave a comment down below what your tier rankings would be. I would love to see, especially if you read a lot of the books, let me know what books you've actually read for the book club, or just that you've read on your own time that happen to work with the book club, and what your tier rankings would be, and etc. That would be so fun to read your guys' tier rankings. And yeah, that is everything I have, so I'll see you guys in the next video.